Today is Saturday, August the 18th, 2018. Hello, and welcome to Weekly Astrology Notes for the week of August 19th through the 26th, 2018. Highlights for this week. Well, it looks to be another incredible week ahead for personal growth. We start the week on Sunday, the 19th, with Jupiter trine Neptune, which is helping us heal psychological wounds, something we're already feeling all this week long. And at the end of the week, we've got a fabulous Grand Trine in Earth signs with Sun, Saturn, and Uranus. So it's a very fortunate week for personal growth. The Grand Trine is going to bring lots of creative energy and inspiration to achieve your highest potential. But despite all this wonderful news astrologically this week, we are experiencing an increasing amount of repression of free speech as the negative side effects of Mars square Uranus begin to get real. That self-destructive quality that comes from Uranus squaring a planet in its native sign of Aquarius is manifesting as censorship of the alternative media. Oh, and by the way, I am well aware of the fact that Alex Jones is a fake. You know, I'll even leave you some links here. He was once a comedian named Bill Hicks, and he faked his own death, changed his identity, and became the character Alex Jones, the one that we all know of today. So he is obviously affiliated with some faction of the deep state. Nonetheless, people like him always reveal some portion of the truth in order to make the rest of their story seem more credible. And so something is revealed. And if you read everyone with discernment, you'll begin to get the big picture. And just like this other link I have here points out, you know, despite all that he's done, he's really, reached millions with his rants, his tirades against the deep state and all the corruption. And a lot of that stuff is actually founded in truth, even though he might be a member of some faction of the deep state. The point is, you get information from reading everyone with discernment. So I'll leave a link, or those links there, which you can check out. They're short but very informative. And basically, another thing I wanted to point out coming for this month is that the Yod formation that we had on the new moon on the 11th, here it is briefly again, for the new moon on the 11th, you'll see that new moon along with Mercury is caught in this Yod formation. And so all this month, we're being carried along by the ambitions of others, swept up in a moment of collective karma. And that is another layer of stuff that is happening to us this month. This quincunx aspect, and I've noted this several times in the past, is also associated with false flag events. So I'm thinking that the false flag probability alert is on high right now. Nonetheless, on a personal level, this week and the last have been all about personal growth. So I'm going to give everyone another pep talk and encourage you to make the most out of it. And of course, so let's go through the weekly summary now. Starting with Sunday the 19th, we're going to have Jupiter trine Neptune exact. But of course, we've been feeling it all week long. The long, slow submersion in healing energy reaches a peak today. It's a good day to be in public, so plan ahead, find something interesting to do, be amongst other people, connect with others. It's very soulful. We're looking to find our place in the world and want others to do the same. You can make the most wonderful, deep connections with other people. Things are ending now, so there's lots of dissolving, both inside and out. And it's also a very spiritual time. We're connected to the non-physical realm much more than usual, especially this weekend. The doorways open between this world and the next, and they open wide, and we're free to have mystical experiences that transform our lives. So enjoy this one to the fullest. Let yourself be open to magic and healing and the subtle voice of spirit. And then starting the work week on Monday, Moon in Sagittarius inspires us. And in the later part of the afternoon, it's a very creative time with the moon trine Sun. On Tuesday, in the hours before dawn, Moon in Capricorn connects with the Saturn-Trine-Uranus, and we're feeling the coming Grand Trine. And there's no other aspects on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Moon in Capricorn is busy in the early morning with a sextile to Jupiter and to Neptune, and we're not in the mood for work. Then a strong burst of energy and intense emotions at noon with Moon conjunct Pluto. On Thursday, Moon conjunct Mars gives us another burst of energy in the early morning, and then a short void of course until the Moon enters Aquarius in the mid-afternoon. And then Moon square Uranus kind of makes it hard to deal with people. Not a good time to be in public in the afternoon there. On Friday, things could get a bit chaotic in the early afternoon with Moon opposition Mercury. Just lots of restless activity. And then the evening is very social with the Moon square Jupiter and Moon trine Venus. So Friday night activities look to be pretty good. And then we've got an extra long void of course. And this one's going to last from Friday evening until late Saturday evening. It's more than 24 hours long. So Saturday is going to be a pretty slow day with that long void of course. But also on Saturday, we've got that fabulous Grand Trine in Earth signs. Creative energy reaches a peak today. Your connection to the physical realm is better than usual now. You realize your potential and you want to reach for it. Time to set goals for the future. Lots of opportunities for material success. And although there is a long moon void of course on Saturday, you might want to wait to start new projects, but the energy is going to be very creative. It's a good time for goal setting. And then on Sunday, we've got Venus square Pluto right around midday. Kind of that aspect makes it hard to deal with others. Not a good time for social gatherings. Folks are just a bit too secretive. And it also, as you can imagine, may have a pronounced effect on relationships. It could be good or it could be bad. So let's get started with Sunday the 19th. Jupiter trine Neptune. And this one will be 15 degrees of Scorpio to 15 degrees of Pisces. I'll give a little shortened version of my description this week since it was in last week's report. An abundance of warmth and compassion, the Scorpio to Pisces trine is characterized as an ability to heal psychological wounds, resolve old issues, and move on. It brings revelation and then release of emotional pain and suffering. Beyond just yourself, on a group level, it manifests as a desire to end mass suffering and poverty, help people whom society has swept under the rug, people in prisons and mental institutions. This could lead to some folks deciding enough is enough and we need to do something better to save these people, at least think differently about them, more compassionate and with an effort to reclaim the lost souls. And in addition, I believe this aspect is manifesting as this new big push to expose the Hollywood pedophiles, because that one is really going to have a tremendous effect upon us all once we realize what's going on. And this desire to reclaim some aspect of yourself that's been forgotten by you as well could happen with this. You might want to revitalize an artistic ability that you never fully developed or get back into it. A desire to reclaim can translate as helping other people resolve their issues, selfless acts of service to benefit others, helping others to keep their life on track, helping them go through that death rebirth process so they can continue on into the next cycle. Help them do whatever is necessary to do that. Jupiter, at the end of its current cycle in Scorpio, really needs to let go of the negative side of itself. So that's the negative side of Jupiter would be the false ideals, the false philosophies about life, as well as overindulgent behavioral patterns that have turned self-destructive, and they're just long past expiration date. This is so you can be more successful in the next growth cycle that begins when Jupiter enters Sagittarius. And this is just the perfect aspect for doing that. We're feeling very spiritual, connected to the subtle energies around us, able to tune into the spirit world. Like the Mars square Uranus, this one also brings a psychic awakening, although I think in a much more positive way. We're very empathic, intuitive, psychic, able to make contact with spirits. The doorway between the physical and the non-physical world opens wide, and all sorts of amazing things can happen. You may find yourself thinking about someone who has passed, someone you had a deep connection to. Spiritual gifts emerge during this time. Awakening of your spiritual talents and abilities. Alternative healing modalities. Psychic and energy healing. There's dozens of modalities to choose from. These are all gifts from the universe to help you overcome blockages and reconnect you with the source of your true power. These are available in abundance now, so be sure to make the most of whatever is available to you. Just try not to let the laziness that comes with this aspect, after all, it's a trine to Neptune, so we might feel some of that. Don't let that get you down. We all feel a bit lazy, not really interested in standing up for your individuality, low ego drive, more passive, and that's just more part of the letting go process. And as I mentioned, these big Jupiter-Neptune aspects tend to draw big crowds, big events, large gatherings of people, strong desire to merge with the collective. It's kind of like a drug, it's a rush. So when we dive into the sea of humanity, we get a refueling of vital life force. So I would say you really need to be in a crowd at some point this weekend and really connect with others. And this trait reflects the need to expand your own consciousness now. Get more spiritual about your perspective. Okay, and we're also having these moon aspects on Sunday, all occurring in the 13th minute of the hour. I thought that was kind of interesting. In the morning, we've got moon trine Mercury. That one will give us lots of inspiration and a fast pace and lots of communication. And then moon sextile Venus, pleasant disposition, good time for social events. I should also say good time for business. And then in the later afternoon, moon square Neptune, feeling a bit lazy and indulgent. Be careful of too much intoxicants. They tend to have a stronger than usual effect on these squares to Neptune. As well, we have high hopes, but we're easily deceived. Moving along to Monday, the 20th, we've got moon in Sagittarius, keeping us optimistic all day. And then in the late afternoon, a moon trine Sun. It's always a very creative time where insecurities subside. And then we've got a short void, of course, until the moon enters Capricorn around 9 o'clock. So we are more conservative for the next couple of days. The focus is on duty and responsibility. And moving along to Tuesday, the 21st, starting in the middle of the night, moon trine Uranus. And I should say, when the moon enters Capricorn there, you'll notice it immediately is part of that Grand Trine with the Sun, Uranus, and Saturn. So there's a lot of creative energy as soon as the moon enters Capricorn and conjuncts Saturn. But we start with the moon trine Uranus. That one's going to make us ambitious and able to relate to others well. Strong connection to the physical world. Success comes naturally from what you love to do. And these little descriptions about the moon when it gets involved in this Grand Trine are just part of the overall description of the Grand Trine energy that we're feeling. And then the moon conjunct Saturn very soon thereafter. Emotions contract. Time for therapy and restructuring. But with the moon trine Uranus, it probably doesn't seem so hard, and you probably get some really good insights at this point in time. I should say it's middle of the night for those of us on the West Coast and the early morning on the East Coast. But when the moon gets involved in that Grand Trine, like I said, there's lots of creative energy, and that moon conjunct Saturn doesn't seem so tough. The therapy that we go into is very fruitful, and we feel like we gained a lot of insight. Okay, moving along to Wednesday, the 22nd. Again, early in the morning, we've got the moon square Venus. Social obligations not fulfilling. It's really not negative, though, because when the moon and Venus get together, there's not really much to argue about. And then we've got the moon trine Neptune. That one makes us more sensitive and passive, willing to help those who deserve it. It's the Capricorn to Pisces sextile, very altruistic, or philanthropic, I should say. And then also in the morning on Wednesday, moon sextile Jupiter. That one has us feeling optimistic and ready to make a breakthrough. That's the Capricorn to Scorpio sextile. Helps us break through things. Gets our energy focused. It's also a really good time for business. And then around noon on Wednesday, moon conjunct Pluto in Scorpio. Excuse me, that's not in Scorpio, that's in Capricorn. Okay, I corrected that. The time each month when we can achieve a new base emotional state and overcome negativity. Makes us passionate, gives us intense emotions, as well as brings up moral concerns. Strong burst of energy, best to remain focused. The repressed energies coming up need to be released carefully and in a healing way. It's a good time for yoga or body therapy. You know, taking that energy and turning it inward helps you regenerate. It's really good for you. Just focusing on what you need to do and avoiding emotional entanglements with others. And then the sun enters Virgo on Wednesday. So happy birthday to all those Virgos. And it is a very happy one with this Grand Trine going on. So during this time, over the course of the next month, we're more critical and analytical, concerned with the details, focused on health and hygiene. We display good judgment, good at making precise adjustments, and helpful towards others. And what a wonderful time it will be for the Sun in Virgo with the trine to Uranus and to Saturn, as well as to Pluto in Capricorn. Sextiles to Jupiter, in opposition to Neptune. So that means the Sun, while in Virgo, connects with every single one of the outer planets. That's really transpersonal. That's a lot of work that you can get accomplished, a lot of new information you can bring to yourself. Change a lot of aspects of your creative expression. It can be very productive. You know, Virgo rules work. It's very active. So lots of good things coming to Virgo these days. And with this Grand Trine with Uranus and Saturn, well, that's coming up this weekend. And we should be feeling it probably already by Wednesday. And, you know, it's an old dog learns some new tricks. Something I keep on saying. I kind of want to encourage people to let you know that it doesn't matter how old you are. You can still regenerate brain cells. You can still learn new things. Okay, moving along to Thursday, the 23rd. We start in the morning with moon conjunct Mars. Impulsive, courageous, and headstrong. Just be mindful of the rights of others. Gives us lots of physical energy. Like the moon conjunct Pluto, it's good for things like yoga, stuff like that, especially with Mars still retrograde. And then we've got a short void of course until the moon enters Aquarius on Thursday morning. So social affairs are more prominent for the next couple of days. We're more intelligent, intellectual, abstract, friendly, but impersonal. And then in the early afternoon, the moon square Uranus. So another one with the Uranus squaring a planet in its native sign can be a little bit self-destructive. This one makes us agitated and restless. Not a good time for social encounters or dealing with the public. Not willing to share your values or possessions with others. Independent, pulling away from the group in order to gain greater awareness of the situation. And then moving along to Friday, the 24th, we start just past midnight with the moon opposition Mercury. Oh, excuse me, this one is in the early afternoon, that's PM. Got to be more mindful here. And that's what you need to do with the moon opposition Mercury, because emotions and intellect don't work too well. The emotion together. The emotions interfere with the intellect. So the mind is active and restless, moving too quickly. You may need to slow down as some conscious impulses interfere with normal communication processes. And then in the early evening, much better, the moon squared Jupiter. Desire to let go of inhibitions and liberate yourself from emotional insecurities. Brings about extravagant, loud behavior, as well as poor financial judgment. People very willing to drink too much and that kind of a thing. As well with the next aspect, Moon trine Venus. Very easygoing, lots of superficial talk. Love the fresh air because it's in air signs. Good time to be outside in a social gathering, like a concert, because of that need to be in fresh air now. And then we've got this really long void of course happening from Friday evening until late Saturday evening, more than 24 hours. Kind of interesting that we're getting this Grand Trine during this long void of course. Despite these wonderful aspects, Saturday is not a day to start new projects. I should mention that last week, when I made the weekly report, it was during one of those long moon void of courses. You know, I had no choice. We had like 3 of them last week. And because of that, you know, the report kind of came out rambling, and a couple of folks really didn't like it. You know, if I had more time, I probably would have cleaned it up a bit, but it's just kind of indicative of what happens when the moon has these really long void of courses. It's just really hard to get anything done or finish any projects, and it always feels like you need to clean it up the next day. So that's just an example I thought I'd put out there. As we move into Saturday, the 25th, so I'm going to talk about this Grand Trine. You'll see here the Sun at 2 degrees of Virgo. It's going to trine first Uranus at 2 degrees Taurus, and then Saturn at 2 degrees of Capricorn. So I'm going to talk about the Grand Trine overall, and then a little bit about the specific aspects. So this Grand Trine brings lots of creative energies. So you really kind of want to start something around this time. Maybe not today specifically because of the long void of course, but something begins, you know, some good project. Because whatever you do, it's going to last a long time with this trine to Saturn and give you lots of opportunity for material success because it's in earth signs. Lots of opportunities to evolve because it's a trine to Uranus, and move on, I should say, to better circumstances. Move forward with your personal goals during this time. There's really no better chances for success, both personal and also on a financial level. So pick a personal goal that you'd like to achieve and commence now. You'll be sure to stick with it and see it through to the end. The influence from these aspects lasts from Saturday through Sunday. But note that the Saturn trine Uranus aspect has been going on for a long time now. Since last fall. It was exact last, I think, early December. So we've been feeling this energy ever since then. And this set of aspects is a high point. And I think the energy from this set of aspects is probably in effect all week long. You really feel it. Just because it doesn't come around too often. Now the Saturn trine aspect is, like I've said, characterized as an old dog learns new tricks. So now is the time to adopt new ways to keep yourself going in life. Get your life on the right track. You know, Saturn is our grip on reality. And Uranus gives us new ways of getting a grip on life. Getting your life on the right track. Saturn is also long-term preservation. So, you know, it's like you keep your life sustained, you keep you going. And whenever these planets get together in a harmonious way, we're always looking at ways to fulfill our highest potential. Those are the 2 really big key words with those beneficial Saturn-Uranus aspects. Highest potential. Whatever that is for you in life. So we're looking at ourselves and seeing ways to make improvements. It's a wonderful aspect to get you focused on what you really need to do in this life. You know, not, you know, for other people, but really for you, getting your life on track. And with this Grand Trine, success comes naturally from doing what you love to do because it's coming from Taurus. So your personal values are always going to have to come into play and be a part of it, and doing what you really want to do in life and being successful at it. This aspect makes us adaptable, yet highly disciplined. And whatever you do is sure to reflect who you truly are as a person. Really focus on that. I mean, that really sums it up so well in terms of the quality of the energy. I mean, you can change because of Uranus, but Saturn makes you really disciplined and methodical. And the sun means it's a reflection of who you are as a being. I think that's just so wonderful. In earth signs, you have the ability to positively affect your personal environment, demonstrate mastery over the physical world. This Grand Trine is very powerful. It unleashes creative potential, especially for something that can give you more liberty to live your life more as you see fit. This could even go so far as receiving some allowance or inheritance that is owed to you, maybe a payoff for hard times, or for hard work done in the past when you didn't receive a payoff, or maybe a release from some karmic burden. As well, good karma may come back to you now. In Virgo, improvements to personal health and hygiene are the perfect application for this set of aspects. It was the same way a month ago with Venus, and I'm sure it's going to be the same way now, because Virgo really loves to get its health improved. So we're looking to make improvements in our personal health regime, change of diet, not putting so much intoxicants or junk food into your body, maybe taking vitamins and herbal supplements, maybe signing up for a gym membership, starting to take a yoga class. A lot of people in yoga, they seem to have a lot of Virgo energy. They really like that. I think it helps manifest the true being that you are in the physical plane. Virgo can do that better than any one of the other signs here below the horizon. I mean, think about Virgo. It's the last step below the horizon. So really, it rules self-mastery. A lot of times we think Leo is the king, because it's on stage and it gets the most attention. But in terms of self-mastery, really Virgo has it down better than any of the other signs, I believe, or that energy. And lastly, Virgo, this set of aspects is going to affect your work environment, which should be more productive and enlightening during this time. And co-workers may be a source of help, and relations with your co-workers and authority figures should be very good as well. So go ahead, check your chart and see where this is happening. Specifically with the Sun-Saturn-Uranus, the trine from Taurus to Virgo is characterized as skillful use, got a word there, of your personal resources. Good at using what you have to get ahead. Bright ideas, more adaptable, in tune with current trends, working well with others, seeing the intrinsic value in all people. Unique qualities of others interest you, as well as wanting to express your own unique qualities. Desire for mutual freedom and independence. Desire to express who you truly are. Your unique qualities need to shine. Interested in people or groups outside of the norm, more open-minded. Desire to merge your creative efforts with others and work together towards a common goal, creating something bigger than yourself. That kind of thinking that says the value of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Friends and associates may be a source of opportunity, and easier to find and make new friends and associates now. Aspect brings greater awareness, more enlightened, more aware of our surroundings, and feel free to move about as we see fit. Feel liberated, honest about who we are, and no need to make excuses. Good at abstract thought, open to new and interesting aspects of the universe, as well as New Age subjects like astrology, which is ruled by Uranus. Today you have the ability to move beyond your current circumstances and move into something better. When you make a change, you discover something new and interesting about yourself. something beyond just what you thought the change would bring. The change could reveal a mystical or highly evolved side of yourself that you never knew existed, or maybe you did but didn't really explore it, except in your fantasies. And surprisingly, it may seem ordinary to have extraordinary abilities. And you do have extraordinary abilities. And now is the time to move towards a fuller expression of those abilities, manifesting who you are in this world. And then the Sun trine Saturn. Skillful use of your abilities brings success and increase in standing and reputation. Aspect enables you to work methodically with a focus towards the future, not immediate gratification. So you can work without comfort. Basically, with this aspect, we're more disciplined, display better self-control, can work without an authority figure standing over us. We are our own authority figure. This will give whatever project or goal you start now greater chances of success. Duty and responsibility are integrated into your goals, and it just feels good to be responsible. So you're more mature, willing to work without the usual comforts, and know that success is guaranteed if you put out the effort. You know, Saturn always pays off in this lifetime. You can be absolutely guaranteed of that. It's the most wonderful aspect of Saturn, is that it always pays off in this life, especially now that it's in its dignity in Capricorn. So if you do the work, you will achieve success. That is guaranteed. And our creative energy is narrowly focused. We're on our best behavior. We don't want to do anything that would damage your reputation. So we've got this good relations with authority figures and co-workers who are more apt to notice your efforts now. And since we're all getting this, it's mutual. It's really nice, and I hope everyone takes advantage of what is really the most wonderful Grand Trine I think we're getting all year long. Okay, finishing up on Saturday, late in the evening, that long moon void, of course, ends when the moon enters Pisces. So we're more sensitive and in tune with the spiritual side of life for the next couple of days. Not so concerned with self. Impressions are more important than facts. Good time for artistic endeavors. We're more passive, forgiving, and sentimental. And we've got a full moon on Sunday, and that will be strongest on Saturday evening. So we got a full moon on Saturday night. And very early morning, Sunday, the moon makes sextiles to Saturn and Uranus trine, which brings great personal harmony and awareness of yourself as a spiritual being with the desire to fulfill your highest potential. You'll see here, we've got the Saturn trine Uranus, 2 degrees Capricorn to Taurus, and when the moon hits 2 degrees of Pisces, it makes that sextile to Saturn and Uranus, and it is really wonderful. Starting with the moon sextile Uranus, ambitious, but in these signs where we need to look inward, try to find the spiritual reason. It can give you a deep appreciation and spiritual connection with others. Very sensual. It's a good time for a massage, and that's the Pisces to Taurus sextile. Is good for that, as well as working with stones or crystals and healing stones and things of that nature. And then shortly thereafter, the moon sextiles Saturn. Strong connection to the earth and to who you are as a spiritual being in this world. More self-disciplined, willing to help those who truly deserve it. And then, still in the morning on Sunday, we've got the full moon, and that will be at 3 degrees 12 minutes of Pisces. So the usual ups and downs as we experience a crisis for fulfillment. It's a bit more spiritual and self-disciplined than usual, in tune with the subtle vibrations around us, able to see spiritual qualities in others, maybe even desire to help. That's because the Virgo to Pisces opposition gives us a desire to transcend and the mundane, dissolve boundaries, and move into a spiritual awareness of life. And I should say, this intrinsic need to manifest who you are as a spiritual being, to be a master of this physical world. We're really feeling it strong because you got the Sun opposition Moon with the Grand Trine. That makes the Moon the top of a kite formation. So it's a very powerful set of aspects. We're really able to do a lot more at these times. We've got a lot more creative energy. So it's not your typical full moon. Nonetheless, the moon is in Pisces, and that does bring up delusional thinking, loss of self. But the good thing is we're just much more open psychically. And of course, be careful with intoxicants, since they have a stronger effect when the moon's in Pisces or doing anything associated with Neptune. And now that it's a full moon. And then we've got the Venus square Pluto around midday on Sunday. And that will be 19 degrees of Libra, or I should say about 18, almost 19 degrees of Libra, to 18 degrees of Capricorn. So relationships and all one-to-one encounters are a little bit more difficult today. Not a good time for social gatherings. It can be hard to relate to others, especially women, because Venus, of course, is the female symbol there. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, by the way. It manifests the same way. The Pluto square brings up feelings of lack and abandonment, along with paranoia. More aware of what we're not getting in life. Consequently, we're more demanding, out of fear your needs are not being met. Rebellious and cantankerous because it's Venus squaring a planet in Capricorn. So basically just acting dissatisfied, hard to please, as well as defiant towards others. Brings up repressed feelings like anger, which prevent us from relating to others the way that we want to. Impulsive, brings a strong sex drive. You may lose yourself to sexual impulse, either yours or someone else's. It's kind of easy to get swept up in someone else's Pluto energy just as much as your own. Secret desires rise to the surface. Relationship issues come to the surface. Indiscretions are revealed. Nonetheless, this aspect is not necessarily bad for relationships because the strong desire for sex may bring lots of couples together. Just intense coupling. Relationships that start now are intense and sexual. Important not to get caught up in other people's drama. You may need to sever yourself from restrictive bonds. Do something rather audacious, out of your usual character. Maybe something secretive. May prefer to isolate yourself from others so you can get more work done. Because the strong burst of energy that comes with the Pluto square is very useful and productive. Helps overcome stubbornness and lethargy. You can work without rest, lots of stamina. Like a bull, you can charge forward and move through any obstacles in your path. Well, that's all for the aspects this week. Okay, moving on to top stories, starting with California. A little follow-up from last week, where Mars at 29 degrees of Capricorn was squaring natal Pluto and Uranus at 29 degrees of Aries, and how this all ties into California's Uranus return, which is happening now, as well as the Mars square Uranus we're all getting. And basically in the news, it's just quite interesting. It's a lot of rebellion. Here we got California is about to pass a law allowing illegal aliens to sit on government boards and commissions. I mean, that's just really kind of crazy. And here's another one that would force companies to put women on their board of directors. And another one here, California Senate passes euthanasia bill, encouraging assisted suicides. This is the kind of stuff that all came out around this Mars square Uranus and Pluto. I think the Mars square Uranus was really the stronger of the two because it's all about the Uranus return happening right now. So it's pretty obvious the manifestation of the basic problem in California, and we can really tie it into Uranus-related issues. The radical ideology we're seeing, it's like the government is grasping, trying to create a new paradigm for evolution, like what must occur at every Uranus return. And now the Hollywood paradigm is going away. They're trying to create a new one made out of this radical ideology. And of course, because it's Uranus opposition ascendant, they're trying to lead everyone else along their path. And it kind of makes California like a cult. So this is that same kind of energy we're seeing. And this Mars square Uranus and Pluto, they're going on for an extended period of time. So I think what we're seeing here with this radical ideology is something that's not going to last. And basically it's the bulb burning brightest before it burns out. Okay, so that was just a little follow-up going on with California. And now moving on to the USA. Next Monday, the 27th, Mars goes stationary direct, and it's going to be very close to the USA's Pluto here at 28 degrees 30 minutes of Capricorn. It'll go direct at 28:38. And I think this is going to have some effect on the banking industry. I think there's going to be more focus on that. But the reason why I'm mentioning the USA this week is because this Grand Trine that I'm so fixated on this week is going to have some very good manifestations for the USA. You'll see the USA has got Venus at 2 degrees of Cancer. So that means it gets the opposition from Saturn, although I should point out that the Saturn opposition Venus transit has passed. But nonetheless, this Grand Trine with the Sun in Uranus sextiling Venus, Saturn opposing Venus, and Jupiter's pretty close by. So that basically makes Venus and Jupiter the top of a kite formation. And that is very fortuitous for the United States of America. I'm thinking good news financially because it's Venus and Jupiter. Now, when transiting Venus was in the early degrees of Virgo around mid-July, some really great energy came to us from that Grand Trine, and all the same type of benefits that I have mentioned with regards to that Grand Trine. And I've noticed that any natal planets within 5 or 6 degrees tend to get activated by this Grand Trine. So that's why I think Jupiter is very much involved in this and definitely being activated by this Grand Trine, and it's all getting a great boost of energy. And then next week, I think it's next Wednesday, the 29th, Uranus sextile Venus is going to be exact, and that'll be that 2 degrees of Taurus to 2 degrees of Cancer. Now that's very good as well for the USA. Along with the Saturn trine Uranus aspect, this is keeping radical protests more restrained and civil here in the USA. Protests, those are all Uranus activities, and the Saturn trine puts a damper on that. And here in the USA, the Venus sextile makes folks more diplomatic and able to form new political associations. I think it's very nice in that it counters the effect of the Mars square Uranus aspect we're getting, and it's bringing people together instead of tearing people apart. It's creating new friendships instead of the walk away movement. You know, people have something to walk into, not just walk away, but walk into. And surprising change of events that are going to work out for the better for the USA. Like these protests that were anticipated to be violent, but they're not going to turn out that way. So I would say it looks pretty good for the USA for the next couple of weeks. That's good news. So that's all for this week. You can check out my website, tomsocalm.com, and thank you to my subscribers and supporters. Always got to give thank you for that. And you can follow me on Twitter at TomJordan364. Contact me if you're interested in a natal or transit reading. I'm also a Reiki master, and you can contact me if you want a long-distance Reiki healing. You can contact me at mobilestar7@yahoo.com or the weblog where I post a transcript of these weekly videos. And once again, links are in the description. Well, that's all this week for Weekly Astrology Notes. Once again, Thanks for viewing, liking, and sharing my video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Many blessings, and have a great day.